And we're trying to remove some of the roadblocks during the next 45 minutes. And mainly covering 3 topics. It's about products, we're talking about hardware and software, about processes. And the second topic, well, boring things like IT and integration and privacy. Looking at John at that time. And then the third one, of course, I want to talk about people, which is for me most importantly topic where we come to change and acceptance, especially when we talk about wearables. And we have an amazing panel here. These guys, we have companies like ExxonMobil, ThirdEye, Southwest Airlines, Lockheed Martin, and Duke Energy. And I want to kick it off with a statement from Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, and he recently said that in a few years we will look back and ask ourselves, how could we ever live without AR? So, well, and looking into your faces, you're smiling, and you don't want to believe that today. It's the same what happened with the internet. But I want to give the panelists the chance to introduce themselves, and I want to give them that question in a little bit of adapted way for today. So when you guys look back the last couple of months, last year, what were the biggest challenges you faced? What were the biggest challenges, the biggest problems you solved? Think you want to get started?
Hi everyone, I'm Nick from ThirdEye. And thank you all for coming, and it's great to be in Dallas. And honestly, I don't need an excuse to come to Dallas. I'll just come down here for the food, honestly. So, but at ThirdEye, we make mixed reality glasses, and so we're pretty deeply integrated into the enterprise space. And we're really seeing that over the next few years that this is a space that's really taking off. And because of the ROI impact and the ability to train employees and knowledge transfer and really give information in a much better way in a hands-free manner. So we're seeing a great impact, and there's definitely some obstacles, but I think over the next few years we're going to see the enterprise wearable technology really take off.
I think got one here. Eric Johnston, ExxonMobil. I'm a technology architect within our global IT organization, and my domain is connected worker. So it's wearable technology, AR, all of those things that kind of fall into those categories. Back to the comment that you made, actually I had 2 things I want to talk about there. The first one was the biggest improvement I saw in the past few months for AR and VR. And I think that was the interactions that people are having with the devices. So voice, gaze, gestures, all of those have just significantly improved to the point that, like, I'm delighted when I put things on, which is a weird thing to say, but like that's the feeling that comes to mind. Is I'm delighted now when I put on the headsets, and when I put it on, my end users, they're delighted as well. I would say the biggest challenge that I've had has been scaling, which is something you guys have heard today. It's finding that use case that's not only good in the lab, but is good out in the field, out in the refinery, the offshore platform, the things you can actually take to the end users.
Hi everybody, I'm John McGuire from Duke Energy. I'm an IT architect in our digital transformation group. We have a lot of parallels actually, Dirk and I, the use cases and the types of businesses we work for, energy companies. I think the biggest struggles that I've seen over the last year or so, I've actually been working in this role trying to work into more VR and less cybersecurity over the last couple of years. Skepticism, and that comes from a couple different directions. One is that my people who spend the money to actually provide augmented reality, virtual reality solutions to our workers out in the field for training and for day-to-day use aren't really ready to believe that the tech is there yet, that the value proposition is there. We're all here because we drank the Kool-Aid, they're not here, right? So it's a matter of being able to take some of this back and help them understand where the value proposition is. And then the same on the cybersecurity side and the IT side, right? How do we allow these new disruptive technologies on our networks that we feel we have fairly well nailed down and still manage our risk. So that skepticism and overcoming the skepticism, I think, is the biggest struggle we have going on.
I'm Tim Pilson. I work for Southwest Airlines, and I get an opportunity to lead our technology innovation group. And a lot of the challenges that we've had as an airline, I think a lot of people know us as being fairly innovative in the way that we've done business and a lot of the business processes that we use. It's a lot more challenging when it comes to the technical side of what we do and bringing new technologies in. So one of the things that we've been working on is this kind of new strategies and new processes for bringing in new disruptive types of technology that actually allows an opportunity to put it in front of maybe a smaller group of people so that they can adapt. And we can get learning from that, so we do a lot of test and learn before we start pushing technologies out. So ultimately trying to create an experience where the technology that you're using is the technology that you want, not the technology that we're dictating to you to use.
My name is Scheuringer. I work for Lockheed Martin. I'm one of the principal investigators at Lockheed Martin for advanced visualization technologies. I'm also a technical lead for a fairly large group of in-house software products. One of the challenges that we see actually relates to people, and it's one of the biggest challenges I think there is. I mean, you have management obviously that gets in the way, but you got to think about the general population. Your workers, your manufacturers, your maintainers, they're the people that are ultimately going to be signed up to use this technology. And it doesn't matter what the technology is. It could be AR, VR, MR, XR, pick your favorite letter that they're going to come out with in the future. It boils down to the profound fact of people are always been told what to do. Now they're going to be told or actually shown what to do. And it's that simple fact and change that I think has the biggest impact on people that they don't understand, and it's not how they've actually learned in life. And that's, I think, the biggest challenge that we have to overcome is what baby steps that we have to take to get people used to the technology before we just jump into a headset or jump into the technology.
All right, let's get started with the part around, general part, Eric and John. Eric, you have a lot of challenges in your business. Huge refineries, classified devices needed, a lot of very specific things in your sector and the same energy sector for John. So talking about not only having a POC or kind of one-off showcase, what is necessary in your industry that people use that on a daily basis as a tool?
I got the microphone, I guess I'll start. I think that, I mentioned over here, problems will come with skepticism. I think being able to integrate the technologies that we have, the headsets that we have available, whether they're AR, VR, binocular, haptic devices, whatever, assistive technologies we're talking about, the trick's going to be integrating those with our back-end systems. There's use cases that we have which are freestanding, which are, I can set somebody down and put a headset on them and let them do VR training for clearing the gas line before they work on it, right? But to actually have something that this guy is using day to day that he's taking out in the field, all that system that he has with them has to be able to interface back with his work process system. He has to be able to collect data and send back to the system as well as get information from the system. So I think once we can get this stuff integrated into a full system, a headset isn't a system. A headset is just a component or a tool that's part of a larger system. So once we get these systems integrated, then we'll actually be working day to day with this stuff out in the world, out in the field.
Yeah, I agree with John. It's got to have that value there. I used to tell people it's got to solve a problem, but now it's got to go even further than that. It's got to solve a big problem. So when I talk to people out in our refineries and offshore platforms, like there's lots of problems that can be solved. It's a matter of prioritization at that point of which ones are they going to solve. And so for ours, it comes down to, okay, am I going to invest in this new AR headset, that does something, or am I going to fix a piece of equipment, right? Those are the types of challenges that I'm having to battle, and I have a feeling you guys are having to battle as well. Do we fix a broken line, or do we, invest in, a headset, right? The broken line's probably going to win out every time. So it's finding a solution to a problem that's a really big problem that's big enough to be prioritized ahead of time. Right, so I know somebody up here was throwing around, numbers earlier of, it saves X millions of dollars. It's like, but that line being up may save even more than that or may produce more money than that. So I think you've got to be able to quantify what is that value, and it's got to be a big enough problem, and you've just got to realize that now may not be the time. So I think if you can get to that really big problem, that's where you get that use every day. The other thing I'll mention is, as you alluded to, we have a lot of infrastructure issues that we have to go through in our refinery. So connectivity is a really large challenge. So being able to have things that work offline and online is really important to us, and also having things hazardous certified for our industry. All right, so having things that can withstand the vapor cloud and not cause a spark. That's essentially what hazardous certified is. So there's a lot of challenges there, but I definitely agree with John that you've got to integrate it into that larger ecosystem. You can't just roll out a point solution that does one thing. It's got to be able to do that thing, plus pull up their work orders that they had, plus tie into the maintenance system, plus tie into the inventory system. All of that is part of it. Otherwise, it's just a niche little tool that they're going to throw to the side.
Let me add on to that. Sure. So at Lockheed Martin, and I'm sure as big industries, you see this all over the place too. We have so many different programs going on at the company, from F-35 to F-22, you name it, and each one uses a slightly different system. So we have, 3 or 4 different PLM systems, different logistics management systems, inventory systems. So now when we talk about connecting to those systems, we have to say, well, how do we connect to all of these, right? So we need a solution either that can connect to all of them, or a few different solutions that we have different development teams that can work on them. On top of them, we have the challenges also for much more security than you even see in other areas. You have, similar to what I've talked to John about Duke Energy, at nuclear plants, you potentially can't have wireless, you can't have camera systems, you can't always have that connectivity. You might be constantly in closed loop systems and closed loop networks in the classified area where you'll never have connection to a cloud. So you'll have to always have a solution that can basically run on a server that's sitting in a closet somewhere. So those are all the types of things that we have to look at for our solutions, is not only how do we connect to all these different systems when we can, but when we can't, how do we also make sure that we can still keep operating, we can do things offline, we can do things in a closed loop network. Those are some of the challenges that we also face at my company.
All right. Well, you guys mentioned a lot of challenges now in the software, but also in the hardware. So before I come to software, would quickly like to a little bit in the meeting. Well, there's a lot of when I talk to our customers, it's always the same discussions when we talk about the hardware, right? People complain about that, hey, the field of view is too small, and therefore we cannot use that. So my question is that really the case? Is it really that important? Or where do you really see the challenges? Is it more the form factor? We talked about that this morning. Eric said, well, look, people don't want to run around like that. They don't want to be seen like that. So what are the biggest challenges there on the hardware side?
So that's a great question. And from our perspective as a hardware HMD provider, we want to make your lives as easy as possible and help you achieve ROI as quickly and as easily as possible. So from the Smart Glass perspective, especially on the hardware side, there's a lot of considerations to make. And we call it the Smart Glass graveyard for the smart glasses that in the past haven't addressed these needs and haven't really seen enterprise deployment. So some of the needs are, for example, a hard hat connection. So to be ANSI certified, you need to make sure the HMD is compatible to a hard hat. It can be as fancy as possible. If it can't be used in a hard hat certified situation, it can't be deployed. A built-in device management software, so it can be deployed across maybe 200, 300 people, and a central IT person can control, wipe out, update any glass to any user in the company. So we have that built into our glasses, so it's easily out of the box deployable in a frictionless manner. So there's a lot of considerations to make on the hardware side. Ergonomics, it needs to be easy to use, easy to wear for a long period of time. Battery life, the types of applications that can be run right now, the biggest difference is between the single eye monocular glasses and the dual eye binocular glasses. So the dual eye glasses, because it's in front of both eyes, it's a much wider field of view. It's a lot easier to view content, but there's also considerations like it's heavier, it uses more power. So there's a pros and cons to both types of headsets, and those are the two most common AR head-mounted displays in the market right now. But with our military background, we are used to developing technology for the most ruggedized and harshest use cases possible overseas for the US soldier. So we're experienced with how to deploy in different types of environments and how to manage these pros and cons for the hardware. So there's definitely a lot of considerations to make as a hardware developer and hardware provider for what can be easily deployed across enterprise and manufacturing, industrial, and other sectors. And it's about integrating the necessary features and making sure that you don't have any obstacle for a frictionless enterprise deployment. So that's something we planned out in our integration, and we're seeing a pretty awesome response so far.
I find that interaction is probably where I tend to lose people the fastest. So they put something on, they start to try to interface with it, and if that just goes wrong or it doesn't work for them, they quickly just take it off and they move on. So I think that comes from understanding who the user is and how are they normally going to interact. If it's going to be voice, you better make sure that voice can understand any accent that they've got. It's always fun when you get like the Cajun accents or the Scottish accents, and you're kind of in the back of your head like, oh, is this going to work for this person? And then when it does, like everybody's really happy in the room because they were expecting it to fail. But if it's gestures, make sure that those gestures work every time. And make sure the gestures are appropriate for the work that they're going to do. If there's somebody that has to carry tools around and use their hands a lot, like Andy was talking about, you don't want to have to be doing this out in front of you because that person doesn't have a tool in their hands, and now they're having to put that tool down to interface with the product being given. So truly understand that person, understand how they're going to interface with it, and then make sure that that interface works really well.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but I still don't want to look like an idiot, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
like, I mean, I'll own that comment from this morning because we were talking about that, because I still think that the interaction overall still tends to be, human-centric, is the piece that we tend to forget, right? We're making an experience that I think that the technician in a lot of us, right, thinks that this is geeky cool, and we're creating an experience that inherently we know is smart, right, and we're enhancing the experience, but if it makes you feel inhumane, right, then people don't want to use it. But then I actually thought about the fact that when Apple came out with their AirPods, I laughed. Because I thought, who's going to put these white sticks in their ears? I was fine using their earphones because at least it made sense, right? But I was like, you look like an idiot. And then they came out with commercials, and I thought, these commercials are stupid. Nobody's going to wear these things, right? And I'm mowing my yard last week, one with the Apple sticks hanging out of my ears. Right? And so, but I mean, the point is that that's the point that what Apple knew, that at least I didn't at the time, most other people I think did, is that the usefulness overcame, right, people's awareness to how they were looking. And so then you actually kind of created this class of people that all wear these sticks out of their ears, right? And it became an inherently useful item and product. So I think that's where, to me, the difference is. So I was kind of standing on the back going, well, nobody will do this, right, because you look like an idiot. But if you increase the usefulness to the point and bring it down to a level that they still feel humane, then it'll have mass adoption.
So you're saying that once Apple comes up with smart glasses, however they look and whatever form factor we have, that will work. Is that what you want to say?
I think I'll probably have the same opinion initially, right? And then everybody will wear it and be like, all right, fine, everybody's wearing it, right?
And that's what I'm thinking, are there millions of people walking around looking like an idiot because Apple says it's cool?
It could be. That's an interesting, maybe we have a sub-panel of this, is we could talk about Apple and the product design and social influence.
But maybe there's a lesson to learn there, right? Like how do we make that thing that people are going to think looks dorky to start out with? How do we make that seem cool to them when it's presented to them? How do we make sure that their experience works the first time? So that, yeah, maybe it does look dorky, but dorky is kind of in, so that's the thing, right?
Absolutely. I want to go back to that, Tim, because that's one of the questions I really had before we come to the content. Well, you brought up that example from Apple, and what for me is very important when we talk about that they use and really, AR really starts to become a tool. It's for me a lot about the people, it's a lot about acceptance. Technology can be awesome and have all of those cool things, but if it's not accepted by the users, it's not going to work. And when I look back now, I don't see that there's a lot of acceptance. There's some kind of smart glasses, yes. And we were amazed about the first Google Glass. Then we were glass holes. And so, we went through all that journey, right? Hype going up and down all the time. So from your point of view, from your experience, what needs to happen that the users accept that technology and these kind of things on our head?
So that's another important question. It's a lot of what was mentioned in the panel so far, where it needs to be really easy for someone who's not experienced with technology. A lot of these field workers, they're not the IT guy in the company. They're people who don't have a lot of experience using the latest, greatest technology. So they need to be really comfortable using the wearable device, and that means the user interaction, whether it's audio, gaze, head tracking, gestures, needs to make sense for them, and it needs to be really intuitive for them. So we try to help them out as much as possible and provide them as many user instructions and on-site support and get them up to speed as quickly as possible. But I agree that getting the user feedback and the on-the-ground users using the device is absolutely critical. And then there's other aspects of integration into the company's legacy systems, device management software, making sure the software and hardware, everything's compatible and is exactly what the enterprise needs. And what we've seen is once you realize all those factors, and within a couple of months, you're starting to see an ROI of improved task time, maybe 40% savings in task time across all your new workers in your company, then that's when the realization and the mass scale deployments are happening. But definitely in the initial phase, to get everyone's approval within an enterprise, you want to make sure that the people who are actually using it on the ground are really comfortable and everything's designed exactly for their needs.
And I don't know that you'll ever, for everything, get full user acceptance or even need full user acceptance. I'm thinking about when AGCO was up here talking about location tracking, right? You're never going to get every user to buy into location tracking, right? They don't trust the company inherently, right? They immediately jump to, what is that data going to be used for against me, right? It's not how is it going to help me, it's what are they going to do against me? Are they tracking how often I take breaks, how long I go to lunch, etc. I think about a simple case of hard hat. How many of our customers, users, would wear a hard hat if given the choice? Probably zero, right? But they're all mandated to wear a hard hat. And so I think it depends on the use case, and I am by no means saying you need to force technology on people. But I think you have to evaluate the use case to determine whether, is this a safety issue and we're going to need these people to wear this, or is it truly just a worker productivity? Absolutely, you need their feedback, and you want to give them the right product, the right tool, the right solution for the problem that they're solving. But I don't know that user acceptance is necessarily always needed.
So to add on that, you mentioned the hard hats. You need hard hats in certain areas, you need safety glasses in certain areas, you already have tablets that are accepted in certain areas. If we can just use those existing items and basically replace them as long as the form, going back to the form factor, as long as the form factor, let's say for a safety glass is still relatively small, since they're required to wear them anyway, if we can just replace those with the AR version, I think that would be a much easier sell because they're required already to wear them. We can also sell, and I kind of steal something from Tim that we talked about this morning, was a little bit of peer pressure, but also a little bit of baiting them, right? So you give them a little bit of technology and then you turn it off. And then people talk about it. It's like, yes, this helped me. And then people start talking about it and they want it before it even spreads because we proliferated it internally in the company. And then once they want it, you give it back to them maybe as a better product. And at that point, they want to have it versus management forcing it on them. But I think as a combination between a few of those factors is really probably going to be the answer. And probably in no single industry is there going to be one right answer, but I think there's different things that we can try across the board.
That's an interesting point, what you mentioned about the manager and the user, right? I mean, well, for us as a vendor, we know how it is, and often we talk to the manager. And then sometimes you realize, all right, the manager understands the business, but then there's a user and he wants or she wants to have something else. So how do you solve this challenge? To say, well, the managers are involved in the process, but who's going to talk to the actual user, what they really need, what kind of user experience? How do you solve that?
So one of the things that we did at Business and Fire Control in Orlando was there was a Kaizen essentially that we held. It's kind of like a thinking class, a Kaizen class, and essentially we brought in a bunch of the technicians. And we laid down a bunch of the devices and we said, just try these on. And we brought in a physical hardware structure of their regular tasks. And what we did was we ported all their work instructions over to AR. We had a tablet version. We had a bunch of different devices. It wasn't just AR. And we said, try these on, tell us what you think. You don't have to use these, but we just want your feedback. And And what ended up happening is we brought 4 different technicians on, 4 different skill levels, and also 4 different ages, because that's a big factor too. You know, you have senior people that aren't used to using these type of technologies, and you have the new folks coming in from college that are all the rage, and you know, that's what they want to use. And across the board, what we ended up finding was everyone found some type of product they liked using. Obviously, the younger folks liked using the glasses more, and they gave their honest feedback. So we said, you don't have to use these. These are just what what you can use. But the older generation also, they went to the tablets. They said, wow, this is actually great. You know, I can see what I want to do. And through that, we got a lot of good points that we went back, we redesigned it, and now we're actually working a pilot program in the next probably 6 months where we're going to put it on the floor at one station. And that goes back to, again, you want to kind of entice certain people. You only put it in small pockets, and then I like the idea that we actually take it away after a while again. And then we get the concept, we see what the word is out there, what people are going to say, and then we make improvements based on that. But yeah, we did that Kaizen, and I thought it was actually very successful because we got a lot of ideas from that, and everyone gravitated towards something. Whether it was just a PC visualization and some people to the glasses, I think you need a broad spectrum of what you're in deploy.
You want to add something?
Yeah, you know, I was just going to say, I think that the thing that makes a big difference in being an innovation team, the thing that we focus on a lot is the test and learn experience. So like a focus group is great, and that's, I think we tend to get in the mode of let's go pull these people out and these people out and we'll give them like a simulated experience. But one of the things that I enjoy about what we tend to do now is we create production level experiences at a minimum scale. So we're actually testing with real data or real people doing their real job and actually getting that feedback to try and see what it is. But we're doing it in a contained way, so things like security, right, are mitigated in that. So you limit the risk and the scope of, well, I'm going to do this thing that's fairly disruptive and risky, right? If you go in and do some of these technologies, they can be risky to your organization. You guys have significant challenges, right, with that, with what you're dealing with. But what we try to do is we keep an environment, we tend to refer to it as the sandbox in an innovation space, where we're actually kind of off the map, off the grid with everything else, so that we do something with a new technology, and that new technology turns out to not be great. The limit and the risk of the impact is very small. And what we'll do is we'll bring information into that sandbox environment that is a limited set of the production data, so that you can get the real experience, so that you know how that's going to impact, right? It's a human-centered design experience then at that point, and then you change it on the fly. So we actually make those changes and go, well, they don't really like it when the button's over here, or they didn't really like the watch, they prefer to have it on the tablet. You should be testing form factor. I think we get caught up in the fact that AR is a set of glasses, right? And that may be the case, or it may be something on a tablet, or it may be something on my phone. All of that should be part of your test. Don't assume that you know that the medium that you're delivering it to them with your AR experience being one specific thing. It could be many different things. So that's the feedback model that you need to test and learn.
I've got another one for you because that fits perfectly. You talked about that balance between disruptive innovation versus enterprise operations. So I summarize it. AR means enterprise somehow, right? So there's that super innovative technology, and now it arrives at a large enterprise. It can't get stopped somehow. And often, of course, you know, that you get started like in an innovation lab, what you said, right? But then somehow it has to go to the business unit. And I think there are a lot of challenges because often it's disconnected. So how can we move that roadblock to have really the connection to the business unit, to really have the feedback instead of doing something really kind of an island model there?
So I think the partnership with your technology team is critical. Right? We started off somewhat disconnected from our normal enterprise technology group because what we're doing is potentially throwaway work. And it's expensive to bring them into the process because they have to go through the normal steps that they would go to, which are all a part of the process to keep us stable, keep us secure, right? All of those things. But we don't want to bring them in too early. We need to inform them in those early stages. And so the idea is that we typically go through, it's an innovation pipeline that we do for us, which is concept and mock-up, and then prototype, and then pilot and scale. Right? And so as a development team that I'm on, we are actually involved in that prototyping stage. When we get to pilot, the idea is that the prototype has been successful, but if it's not, we haven't invested a ton and you can throw it away. and the actual investment to the business is not a loss. You take that failure, you learn from it. But if it was successful, we use the pilot stage to expand the testing audience and expand the learning. So you're still not delivering it. It's not like an increase of the scale. It's still this sandboxy thing that we've built. And the pilot stage allows not only now you bring in the expansion of the testing, but you also bring in your partners along the way, and they're now a part of the process. And so that you actually get them involved, and now they're looking at that solution with you. They may be tearing pieces out of it so that they can actually build the scalable solution. That's where like all the integration pieces come into place. That's where you're actually going to spend that time. We allow typically up to 2 years for that process to take place, because that's something that you need that time for your normal, what we refer to as like the performance engine, has to come up to speed on all of those things to be able to make those steps and keep you part of that process, so that when you do deliver it, it's something that actually can go to scale.
Which is a long time for an AR software, right? 2 years. Well, talking about time and to move forward, what comes to my mind is also about, like Kurt mentioned, the tablets today, right? You bring your own device, you have the tablets today. So, and that's also something which I want to hear the John's opinion and also the opinion on that. So, well, we have the smartphones and we have the tablets today. But now, moving forward from a POC to a deployment stage, what needs to happen that we get things like smart glasses improved, not only for a showcase, but really for a deployment, for a rollout? What needs to happen there?
John, so we have a process, I think the perfect situation is when the business comes to you with pain, right? I have this really sharp pain, it's right here, I need you to help me get rid of it. So if we have a solution ready to go, if it's an augmented reality, virtual reality case, that's great. For a lot of our projects in digital transformation at Duke Energy, we have a process set up where we have an integration with the business. We have business people from each of the different lines of business that sit in our innovation center with these smart, geeky developer types, right? And they have the opportunity to kind of see what our people are capable of. At the same time, they know where they have big problems. And so you put those people together on a product team and you do fast iterations. They have a process where they have a business opportunity statement they have to fill out. They're basically rebidding for the money they need every, I think it's 8 weeks, to go back and continue the project, continue to build what they're building. So to kind of get away from that 2-year process of building something and getting it out, we're actually taking the request from the business. Here's the problem I've got. We're working directly with those business people to solve the problem. If we have to put designers in line trucks, bucket trucks out in the field to go work with linemen to see what their individual issues are and how do we solve them with a mobile app, we can do that. If it's something that we see they're having training problems that we need to backfill something, and we can put a portable headset on them in the truck and they can run through a process before they go do it in the field because it's not something they do real often, then hey, we've got an AR or VR solution for them, So I think keeping that integration going and keep getting that, once you get that door open between the business and the technology people and actually get them working together, you find a lot of these opportunities start to present themselves and the solutions kind of start to solve themselves. It's almost a magic process.
I'll add to that I think having that partnership up early allows you to iterate faster. So I know Tim was talking about, that he may wait a little bit to bring them in, but I've had instances, for example, when we brought in a smart hard hat, right? It sounds like a good idea. We wear lots of hard hats. Having one with some intelligence built in sounds like a good idea. We brought our business customers into our innovation space, showed it to them, and the immediate reaction was absolutely not. This is not a good idea. Do not go forward with this. And we were done in a week and a half. Right? That was a simple one. But if we'd gone through trying to set it up and prototype it, test it out, we probably would have been at that for months before we got that answer. But I think having them in there at the beginning allowed them to feel part of it. And now they're working with us on other things that are more high priority than, the smart hard hat that we would have, wasted cycles on.
And from a hardware provider's perspective, it's about getting all the buy-ins from the guy on site, the BD people, the innovation department, making sure all their needs or questions are addressed. And you need a bit of luck too to get these wide-scale deployments. But it's really about thinking through any possible question they get, like do you have device management built in? what are your hard hat certifications, what are your industrial certifications, and what features your software had that matches my exact enterprise needs. And so I think through every possible question you can get, and then having some back and forth with them, customized for their individual needs, and then having all that put together, that's where you can start seeing these frictionless enterprise deployments. But there's definitely a lot of back-end work where it needs to match exactly with what the enterprise is looking for, and then the ROI is pretty sizable.
So I've got a lot more questions. Before I move forward, I want to give the audience a chance to ask questions. Okay, do we have a mic? Yeah. Okay, we have one here. Now you have to run, Jeff. But some sports is good for you.
Yes. Yeah, I know.
I know.
Now you are.
Sorry for that.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kadar Rahman. I work for a New York utility. So the question is actually for John from Duke, of course. When the business comes to you with this sharp pain, as you described, and since the session is about removing roadblocks, I want to touch on one that we currently come up against. Really, it's data quality. So even if the business does come to you with sharp pain and you say, look, we need help with this problem, and you build this investigation process to help them out. Have you come across a data quality issue where maybe the procedure that they follow needs to be cleaned up, or there's manuals in there that are outdated, so it becomes almost solving a different problem as opposed to just providing them an answer? What is your process for dealing with that?
And this comes up a lot. I hear this from vendors that I'm working with, and we do actually see this internally as well. Data quality issues. We have a project going on right now that's not ARVR related at all. It's a matter of giving our designers, our engineers who plan grid enhancements for the future, better tools to go out and do their job and track those changes. As part of that process, we're gathering data from our meter system, which isn't something we've done before. And when we go and compare the data from a meter system against what's in our GIS systems, the system of record for inventory, we find whole sections of feeders that we didn't know were there, right? And so that group is finding exactly that kind of thing. We found a side benefit of tweaking and solving a lot of our inventory problems by finding other data sources and trying to solve this original. We have a side benefit as opposed to the primary benefit. Another one of our solutions that is VR related that we have going on right now is our metrology team is laser scanning our nuclear plants. So when you build a nuclear plant, you get a design, and then when you actually go to put the thing together, you find some problems here and some problems there, and so there's such a thing as built. And I wouldn't have known this before I worked at nuclear plants either, but there isn't necessarily a diagram that shows you the measurements of how this space was built or how long this pipe is. It was just built that way. So we have engineers who need to be able to plan future work. They can't go necessarily walk into every part of the plant when it's up and running, but maybe they're trying to get work going for the next outage. So if they walk into the virtual environment, they get exact measurements. They can see, get all the materials planned out and make sure that what they're planning to put in a space will fit. And they can, even project planning, you can make sure that the workers you're planning to work in a space can work in that space all at the same time in order to meet your project goals. So there's a lot of benefit out of that. And we have that kind of a project going on now too. So yeah, there's certainly a lot of side benefits that turn up when you start solving some primary problems. And that's where you kind of come in with an iterative process. That's where you really start to find some of that stuff turn up.
More questions? Hard to see with a light, but I think there's one.
Hi, my name is Jay Bum, and I work with AM Creative here in Dallas. We're a learning innovation company. I guess, Eric, you mentioned that one of the big problems is scalability, and I would actually target you, but also open it up to the rest of the panel. Like, what's your biggest scalability challenge with wearables, and how did you solve it?
So I will say I've not solved it yet. Yeah, that's what we're here for, to air our dirty laundry. My biggest challenge is honestly the QR code, right? So every AR solution out there relies on some sort of, mark or QR code or something, which works fine in an innovation lab. You talk about a refinery that's the size of a large city and all the different pieces of equipment that are in that, and QR codes are a nightmare. right? That's millions and millions of QR codes to keep up with, or even if it's not QR codes, it's beacons, right? That's millions of beacons to keep up with, to change batteries in, to make sure somebody doesn't sandblast away, or that a hurricane coming through doesn't blow all of them off. Right, that's a nightmare to me, and so that's probably the biggest challenge I have with AR scaling is, how do you actually identify the thing that you're looking at and put the proper digital context on top of that? So if anybody has a solution, let me know.
So for Lockheed Martin, I can answer that question real fast. So one of the biggest things I think that we run into is content. So we have so much content out there. I mean, if you think about all the different configurations of all the different aircrafts and all the different products out there. So for us, and we didn't get a chance really to talk about content in this panel, but the automation of content is going to be our biggest scalability issue. We have the millions of parts. Who's going to be able to create all those? If you got to create all those by hand, that's going to be impossible or not affordable. So we got to start looking at, how do we automate a lot of this content and automate legacy content, not even new CAD content, because we may not even have that. The F-16 fighter, all we have is line drawings. Now, how do we take line drawings and convert it to something we can still use in this advanced visualization? So those are the types of things that I think for scalability that we also have to take a look at is the massive amounts of content out there. How do we process that and put it into the device?
Brian, you got another one?
Yes.
Hi.
My name is Joris. I work for a petrochemical storage company, Vopak. I want to focus on one specific roadblock, and Eric mentioned it before, I think. It's the intrinsic safetyness of AR devices. So far, I only know one AR device that's actually intrinsically safe. But on the other hand, a lot of AR devices that might become intrinsically safe in the future offers a lot of capabilities that we want to test. How do you think you would test those things in the field right now? How do you handle those?
Yeah, so I would say obviously we're probably thinking of the same headset there that's intrinsically safe already, so we're using that where we can. Where we can't get a device into the field, that's where our innovation lab comes into a lot of play. That's been hugely beneficial. I say innovation lab, it's a room that we have at our building, right, that we can bring business customers in. I don't want to make it sound more fancy than it is. It's a room that we can bring people in to actually test things on. And we have an actual, pump in there that just recirculates water, but it just gives you an idea of, industrial equipment, and then we can do things around that. So that makes it really easy to test. If we do need to go out into the field, then there's things like hot work permits, that we have as part of our normal business process where we have to do things like lift, right? And so we'll utilize those where we can, but obviously that's not a good long-term solution. So I think having that partnership with your ecosystem of vendors and just talking to them about the needs, and once you can prove out, the value use case in that type of lab environment, it makes it a much easier discussion with your vendors and with your customers about, hey, we really need to take this device and get it certified for that environment. It's a chicken and egg problem, right? They don't want to certify it until they know that you're going to buy a lot of them.
All right, 1 minute left. Check. Can you take one final question? One over there.
Yeah, right here. Hi, my name is Shyam. I'm with Walmart Technologies, and thank you for sharing your thoughts. That's very thought-provoking. One quick question that I have is right here. That I have here is about the actual app development that you have to deal with in-house. When it comes to the in-house development, how are you keeping up with the SDK update that comes out every week? Because one of the biggest challenges that we have here is whenever we do in-house development, we have frequent SDK updates that's come up, and it's hard for us to keep up with that. Every time we do an update and roll out an application, even before it's rolled out to our entire user base, we have new updates coming in. So I just want to get, how are you guys keeping up with that?
Very carefully. It is a big challenge on our end too, I do have to say. One of the toolkits that we use right now is the Microsoft Mixed Reality Toolkit. Well, that has changed already in the last 6 months so drastically that it takes us quite a bit of time to update, and I don't entirely have a good answer for you, but I do have to say one of the big things that we're looking at is when we integrate toolkits or integrate COTS products that could be SDKs, we look at obsolescence. So what I want to make sure is that we can isolate a lot of those toolkits when we implement it, which also means you have to structure your software that way, where you can isolate the toolkit where hopefully you can plug and play something later again. Now that doesn't entirely help you with when new updates come in that you have to make sure that you can satisfy those updates. Unfortunately, I think that's something that you just have to kind of deal with, but I think the way you need to kind of structure your software, and it's one of the things that I've been pushing part of my teams, is to make sure that everything that we put in can deal with the obsolescence, can deal with the fact that a COTS vendor or whatever SDK toolkit that you're using, if they go out of business or they no longer cease to exist, that you can easily pull that out and plug something else back in. And it's not an easy feat to do, but it's definitely something that's going to have to be almost a requirement for internal software going forward, just because there's so many companies and SDKs and toolkits popping up all over the place that without doing that, it's going to be super hard to keep track of and finally later update, replace, and keep maintaining. So I don't quite have a good answer for you, but that's at least for my team how we've been kind of dealing with those going forward.
There is a red light flashing in front of me.
We're going 5 minutes behind.
We're done. One more, awesome. I like that. Well, we have time, I think. We guys have time here. One more. Wait.
Thank you. Adrian Hyde from ConocoPhillips, and I'm not sure where you all are in your production deployments. We're talking a lot about innovation labs and proof of concepts, but similar to the history of IT equipment going from PC to phones to tablets, have you all identified how you would operationally support these as you ramp up to hundreds and thousands of these devices, and people in the organization put their hand up and say that that's something that we're capable of doing, and we have the right tools and people to do those kinds of activities?
I'll take a crack at that, and I think I've been an IT integrator for a long time. I've been a cybersecurity guy for a long time, and those tend to be the places where we have problems. We have a lot of tools out there in this space to manage this stuff already. It's not that different from any other tools. If you put an Android headset on your network, it's not any different than an Android phone. If you don't like Android phones or you're taking iPads, what's the difference there, right? So some of it's a matter of using what tools we have to keep those to manage those devices and the groups that we have to manage those devices. So our mobile device management team needs to be able to manage these mobile devices just like they do iPads and iPhones and whatever else, right? Our cybersecurity firewall team needs to handle protecting critical systems from these potential devices just like they do anything else. Our desktop support team needs to manage our big fat PCs that we drive Oculus Rifts from, just like they do everything else. So a lot of the tools are there. I think the problem is that the people who run those tools and manage those areas have a hard time taking on new work or thinking of new ways to do things that still solve their problems. So our job is we have to lead that horse to water as well, right? We've got to actually show them that we can help them find some solutions to alleviate their worries while we continue to integrate these things in as just another piece of technology, just like the things they have.
All right. Thanks for having us here on stage. We are around for questions.
Okay, great. Dirk was getting comfortable. I thought he was going to start watching a football game up here. No, just kidding. Interesting, we heard about IT problems, cyber problems, safety problems, PPE problems, all these roadblocks, right? Human factors, though, they dwelled on for a while. I remember it reminded me of a quick story about a guy named Spike. Spike worked for an unnamed construction company. He was a spotter for crane lifts when they drop big loads and stuff. He'd love a spotter on the ground. And we showed up and Spike spoke to about himself in the third person. Like, Spike doesn't do email. Spike doesn't have a smartphone. Spike doesn't do technology. And it was a real challenge to try to convince Spike to put this thing called an HMT1 on his head. But by the end of the day, Spike was over the corner and we caught him, running through the screens, taking photos, doing things like that. And I think a lot of that has to do with at least our focus at RealWear around the user experience and making sure that when you say it has to be as simple as Apple, you go even simpler. Because a lot of our users are, like the last panel said, not really technology enthusiasts. I know it's hard for us to believe in this room that someone could not be a technology enthusiast, but there's a significant number of people in the country that, you know, do not think technology is the answer to all things. So we need to make sure that we understand our customers. I will say one other thing now, a paid announcement, is we have a network cocktail going on at 5:30, a cocktail reception, and that'll be post-seating the 4:30 to 5:30 demo center types of involvement. Okay, so that's all that, and then I'll give you one more announcement. This is the second to last time you'll see me on stage. Oh, and one other thing, if you're looking for an intrinsically safe device, I know one person that you can call. If you're looking for a Zone 2, I know several people that you can call. Those aren't intrinsically safe. So. Next up, maybe the guy you could call about that intrinsically safe device is a friend of mine and colleague named Sanjay Jawar. He works at a company called RealWear, where we deliver the world's first intrinsically safe and other versions of the head-mounted tablet, as we call it, playing off the head-mounted display, HMD type of vernacular. He'll be coming up to talk about where we're at, and where we're at is scale. And we have a number of deployments. He'll talk to that when he gets on stage. And what we're facing is we're in every BMW dealership in North America. Every dealership in America has HMTs. But now we're trying to scale globally across the world and all BMW dealerships across the planet. We're in Kazakhstan. We've sold 10,000 systems, as the Qualcomm press release says, but we are struggling deploying 10,000 systems. So I'm my great pleasure and my great honor to invite Sanjay up on stage to address some of those challenges that RealWear is facing today, and maybe incite some of your discussion and ideas around that topic. So without further ado, Sanjay Jawar.